So our group is introducing a product to the US that's from Nigeria, and that is a Ogbono seed. And this seed has a lot of health benefits and could easily be introduced into a US market. So I'll start it off with the economic overview. Um, Overall, right now, Nigeria is one of the strongest economies in Africa. But in terms of the world economy, it's still pretty middle income. It's also one of the largest growing economies in Africa, especially for the sub-Saharan region. Right now, they have a GDP of $1.1 trillion, and it's still seeing a pretty good growth of 2.7%. Unemployment is not too high in comparison to other African countries at only 5%. But they do have 20% of their GDP, which comes from importing and exporting. So trade is a very large factor for them. Right now, the market's becoming more and more to a free market. There's less regulations, but they can't really deregulate the economy right now because too much of the population depends on subsidies. Uh, the Gini index has a coefficient of 43, which is actually lower than the world right now, which is estimated at 68. There's a lot of economists that are really interested in Nigeria right now because there's a lot of estimates that they'll see the largest GDP growth in Africa across the next 50 years.
In the history of Nigeria, people settled along the Niger River, which is where we're going to see most of the urban and suburban growth, which is important because that's where we can kind of focus our insights. They originally started by exporting gold, nuts, salts, and leathers. Now, as the world becomes more global, they're starting to progress and have a lot more different industries within Nigeria. Um, Historically, Nigeria was created with a lot of different tribes, and it still kind of holds today. While they're not necessarily encamping tribes, the social values, the languages, and the cultures all still derive from these original tribes. It's a kind of a wide range of religion, 50% being Muslim, 40% being Christian, and then the remaining being a lot of different type of cultures. So it's a very diverse country. Thank you. So the political structure, they are forming some type of democracy. It's new, and again, it's not fully developed because all the tribes have different viewpoints. So it's really hard to get everyone on the same basis. That being said, for a president to get elected, it needs at least 25% of 2/3 of all the states. Which is pretty difficult to get, but they did that to kind of keep everyone on an equal level playing field. And as institutions goes, they had a labor union strike in 2007, so they are getting more progressive, focusing more on labors instead of just the large industry. And the media is actually pretty well developed and free. They're allowed to speak as they please, and that usually reflects the historical tribal ethnic interests.
Daily life in Nigeria kind of varies based on the region. Southern areas, you'll see a lot more progression where you'll see women taking care of the kids at home, but also going to their corporate jobs or jobs as teachers. So also in Nigeria, there is no 24-hour electricity depending on, it really doesn't matter where you are in the country. So most homes just have a generator that can be used for up to 8 hours at a time. The typical household usually includes immediate family members, and if the family is healthy enough, they can have house workers that live with them as well. The meals are typically 3 meals a day, similar to here in the United States, and the foods vary just because of Nigeria's diverse culture. So most of their foods still contain a lot of starchy items. And those with wealth love a modern lifestyle with Western-style homes and cars. Usually poorer people live in traditional mud wall shanty homes that are in a lot of overcrowded cities.
The one popular product in Nigeria is the Ogbono seed, which comes from the African wild mango tree. The extraction process is rather difficult. It takes around 6 to 8 years for this seed to grow on the tree. And then to extract it, the nuts are cracked open with a hammer, and then the seeds are extracted and dried in the sun for a few days just to preserve it. And the dried seeds can be stored in a container for up to 1 year. And the seeds grow pretty much anywhere that there's good soil that will retain moisture. The Ogbono seed is used to make a variety of popular foods in Nigeria, including Ogbono soup, which is the 4th most popular dish in Nigeria, Gabon chocolate, and Dika bread. The seed is very healthy. It's a rich source of potassium, iron, water, energy, protein, carbohydrates, ascorbic acid, sodium, amino acids, dietary fiber, vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. And it has countless health benefits, including being anti-diabetic, antibacterial. It helps with weight management by suppressing appetite. It's antifungal. It helps with pain relief. It helps prevent constipation, regulates cholesterol, and also aids in digestion. So currently in the United States, to get Ogbono seed, you have to go online to sources like Amazon, Motherland's Finest, or All Nigerian Foods. You can also find it in some African grocery stores, but they can be rather hard to find in the United States. But similar items to Ogbono seeds have had a lot of success. So the chia seed is one example that's very popular here. And appetite suppressants with chia seeds grew 544% last year. The flaxseed, which is another very similar seed, is also popular. The North American flaxseed market is expected to be valued at $308.4 million by 2022. And then quinoa, in 2014, the United States imported 68.9 million pounds of quinoa, and that's just continuing to grow. So the revenue in the nuts and seeds market is $25.948 million, and that stats from Statista.com. And according to the CDC, the United States is in an obesity epidemic. There's 78 million adults and 13 million children that are obese, and it's projected that half of all adults will be obese by 2030. So there's a lot of value in adding a product with so many health benefits like the Ogbono seed. Therefore, we recommend positioning this product in a health-oriented or holistic market, such as GNC or Whole Foods. With such a large market for nuts and seeds and so many people in need of a healthier diet, Ogbono seed has a high probability of success.
However, there are issues with doing business in Nigeria and with Nigeria. The first of these is just the total lack of infrastructure in the country. As we've mentioned previously, they've got issues like they have no national power grid. People can get at most 8 hours of electricity a day, the roads are not as well taken care of as many other countries. So distribution channels are going to be a little bit difficult to maintain in a place like that, both for importing and exporting goods, like the Ogbono seed, excuse me. And they also have a very diverse culture, which is both a blessing and a curse for people looking to do business in Nigeria. You have a wide variety of people to appeal to, and it's very possible that it's very possible to tailor marketing to one of these groups. However, if you try to do a marketing campaign to the country as a whole, people resonate much more with their ethnic identity than their national identity. So it makes marketing to the entire country a bit difficult. However, some of the rich points of doing business in Nigeria would be their eye contact. So in the U.S., eye contact is seen as a sign of respect. However, in Nigeria, avoiding most eye contact with superiors and seniors within your organization is seen as a sign of respect. So it's almost exactly the opposite. Maintaining eye contact too much can be a sign of aggression or disrespect in Nigeria. So that's an interesting rich point. Additionally, whereas U.S. firms are much more interested in the long-term sustainability of their businesses, in Nigeria the emphasis is much more on short-term profits. So anything that will be profitable immediately will be will receive a much more favorable response in Nigerian businesses than any sort of long-term gains. So those are the rich points of working in Nigeria.
And with that, that concludes our presentation on the Ogbono seed in Nigeria.